What have I just witnessed? This Bundesliga final match day is the most chaotic and hectic I've ever seen. So going into the final match day, Borussia Dortmund had all the cards in their hands. They were on 70 points to Bayern's 68 and only needed to match Bayern's result if they won. And if Bayern went on to lose, regardless of what happened in their game, they were champions. On the other hand, Bayern at all costs needed to win their game to put pressure on Dortmund and hope that Mainz could do a job in Dortmund. Things started off great for Bayern Munich, with Koln scoring an absolute beauty in the 8th minute. And in the other game, Dortmund were down 2-0 after conceding twice in the span of 9 minutes, and in between having missed a penalty. So by this point, Bayern were top of the Bundesliga with 71 points, with Dortmund behind them on 70 points. So going into the second half, Bayern basically wanted everything to stay put, nothing to change, and they would be on their way. On the other hand, Dortmund needed Bayern to concede so that they would draw or lose their game, in which case they would then go top again, or they need to go and figure out a way to score 3 goals in the second half to retake the lead, as a draw for them would mean they'd be level on points with Bayern on 71. Because at that point Bayern had a much better goal differential, Bayern would be top. As a result, it looked like Dortmund had everything to do to be able to somehow miraculously come back and win the Bundesliga. But early signs for Dortmund looked to be pretty good, as in the 69th minute, Nkana would score to have the deficit, and things got even better for them, as in the 81st minute in the Bayern game, an initial Gnabry handball, which was given as a free kick, would be looked at by VAR and given as a penalty. And if the penalty was successfully converted, this would mean that Dortmund would go back top of the table with 70 points to Bayern's 69. And of course, Koln would go on to convert the penalty, tying the game up at 1. And remember, whilst all this stuff is happening, all this information is being relayed live to the supporters on each side. So on the one hand, you've got the Bayern higher-ups pumping their chests, convinced that they've got their 11th title, and you've got the Borussia Dortmund fans completely dismantled. And then 2 seconds later, it's the Borussia Dortmund fans who are in absolute jubilation, and the Bayern higher-ups who can't believe what they're seeing. So by this point, if you're a Bayern supporter, you're hoping that by some miracle your team's going to be able to score again. And if you're a Dortmund supporter, you either hope that your team is able to find an equalizer to secure things, or that Cologne are able to do a job and keep Bayern at bay for 10 minutes plus at a time. And keep them at bay, they could not, because in the 89th minute, Jamal Musiala placed a beautiful curled effort in the bottom right-hand corner to go on ahead and give Bayern the lead, which at this point meant they would go back on top of the table. And back in Dortmund would now absolutely need to go on to win their game to have any hope and any chance of winning the league. And by this point, things have gone desperate. We're well into stoppage time at this point. We've got the keeper getting sent up for corners in Dortmund. You've got Bayern players checking their phone to make sure that Dortmund don't score and nothing serious happens. Haller would go on to score a beautiful acrobatic goal, which wouldn't count because it was offside. We'd see Dortmund fans, hands on their faces in complete disbelief. They couldn't understand what's going on. You see the Bayern contingent, they can't believe what's going on. But eventually, the 5 minutes of added time in the Bayern game elapses, and Bayern game's finished. So at this point, Dortmund absolutely need to go on and win the game. Mind you, at this point, they're 2-1 down, so they need to score 2 goals in a span of 2.5 minutes. And as the clock winds down, it looks like the inevitable is going to happen. Bayern will be champions once again. But a late twist, Süle scores a beautiful goal, which I think is completely underrated. So with his goal in the absolutely dying moments, if they are able to go and score a goal, they will be champions of Germany. This was some Aguero type setup. Everything was set. The Bayern players are all huddled up around Muller to see what's going on in the Dortmund game. You've got the Dortmund fans who at this point have already realized the result back in Cologne and know that Bayern Munich have won their game, so are absolutely crossing their fingers that Dortmund is going to be able to do something, and they start sending the ball long and everything, but in the end they're unable to score, meaning that Bayern win their 11th consecutive Bundesliga title. Now, despite the absolute chaos of everything that unfolded, let's put this into perspective. Bayern have won 11 consecutive Bundesliga titles. 11. The last time that a team other than Bayern won the league, Sir Alex Ferguson was still managing Manchester United. David Beckham was still playing. This is ridiculous. To put into further context, if PSG go on to win the title this year, PSG will become the most successful French team in history with 11 titles. Bayern, in the span of just over a decade, have won 11 consecutive titles, the same amount as the French record. What the heck? But to bring things back down to earth a bit, I just want to say this is why we love football. The chaos, the mystery, the intrigue, every aspect of this of today was terrific and absolutely amazing. And kudos to the Bundesliga, kudos for the chaos and the intrigue and the, well, the entertainment that was today. But let me know, do you guys think that this is the most ridiculous end to a league in history?